Obama's Father's Day speech. It was given at Apostolic Church of God on Chicago's South Side. There was a heavy dose of religion. There was a heavy dose of responsibility. Addressed it somewhat to the black community, but that is being overhyped a little bit. It was broader than that. It was to all fathers in a sense, and to how we should be in society. So I want to read you a couple paragraphs from the speech that we couldn't find anywhere else, and let you judge how good it was, okay? Plus, then, of course, I'm going to give my opinion. Let's keep it real. All right, so here he is. He says, you know, sometimes I'll go to an 8th grade graduation, and there's all that pomp and circumstance and gowns and flowers, and I think to myself, it's just 8th grade. To really compete, they need to graduate high school, and they need to graduate college, and they probably need a graduate degree, too. An 8th grade education doesn't cut it today. Let's give them a handshake and tell them to get their butts back in the library. It's up to us as fathers and parents to instill this ethic of excellence in our children. It's up to us to say that our daughters, don't ever let images on TV tell you what you are worth, because I expect you to dream without limit and reach for those goals. It's up to us to tell our sons, those songs on the radio may glorify violence, but in my house, we live glory to achievement, self-respect, and hard work. It's up to us to set these high expectations. And that means meeting those expectations ourselves. That means setting examples of excellence in our own lives. The second thing we need to do as fathers is pass along the value of empathy to our children. Not sympathy, but empathy. The ability to stand in somebody else's shoes. To look at the world through their eyes. Sometimes it's so easy to get caught up in us that we forget about our obligations to one another. There's a culture in our society that says remembering those obligations is somehow soft, that we can't show weakness, and so therefore we can't show kindness. But our young boys and girls see that. They see that when you are ignoring or mistreating your wife, they see when you are inconsiderate at home, or when you are distant, or when you are thinking only of yourself. And so it's no surprise when we see that behavior in our schools and on our streets. That's why we pass on the values of empathy and kindness to our children by living them. We need to show our kids that you're not strong by putting other people down. You're strong by lifting them up. That's our responsibility as fathers. Now, what do you think I'm going to think of a speech like that? I love it. I love it to pieces. One, he's exactly right about this 8th grade analogy that he used, and it's interesting that he picked that. 8th grade graduation. I mean, it's just another day at the park. I mean, I don't even understand why we're celebrating that. I mean, I couldn't agree with him more. I don't even know why we celebrate high school graduation. I suppose, yeah, sure, fine. But I mean, I didn't begin to celebrate graduations until kind of at the end of law school. I was like, well, I wasn't sure I was going to finish this one because it was kind of a pain in the ass, right? But all the others were absolutely to be expected. And that's the way it should be. Look, I know my dad was a little carried away with it, but God bless his heart, it made me a better man. When I would go home and I'd give him a 98 on a test, he'd say, that's a good job, son. Now where'd the other 2 points go? Okay, that's how you roll. You know why? It gives you a sense of an expectation of excellence. So on the first part of what he said there, I couldn't agree more. And on the second part, God, he nailed not just the responsibility of fathers, but how we should view society, which is putting people down doesn't make you strong. Lifting them up does. I mean, there in a nutshell, he nails the whole point of liberals. Progressivism, whatever you want to call it, okay? What we progressives all believe, which is that we get stronger by helping each other. We don't get weaker. And that it's not a strong thing to be like, oh, I'm all for myself. Yeah, I'm a libertarian, I'm a Republican. I don't give a damn about anybody else. I want my tax money in my pocket, and I don't want it to go to anybody else but me. That's not strong. That's selfish and weak. When you say, hey, I'm here, and I'm going to give you excellence, and on top of that, I'm going to try to help everybody around me. That's strong. As you know, we've had Rick Overton on the show before. And he described, it was a moving thing he did, I remember. He's a comedian and as an actor, but did a great job with it when he talked about his dad at the war and how his dad had fought in World War II. And he said a liberal isn't, how they're portraying it in the media as somebody soft or weak. A liberal puts the people who need to be protected behind him, grabs a gun, and stands a post. And that's what they did in World War II. That's what we did as a country in World War II. FDR was a liberal, and he kicked the living crap out of the Nazis. That's what happens, okay? And it's the same idea, this idea of community, and this idea that we help one another. And it's a great idea, and no one expresses it better than Obama. So, now the media will focus on the fact that he addressed missing black fathers in America. And I get that, and I know why they are. And the reason is, and Obama knows it too. If Obama goes to a church in south side of Chicago and talks about how black fathers need to do better, he knows that that's the one thing that people are going to concentrate on. But I just wish alongside of that, I'm not saying that they shouldn't cover that. I get why they're covered. But I wish alongside of that, they would also cover the greatness of this speech in how it addressed our needs as a society overall.